that is like literally unrecognizable to an ancient African.
You know what I'm saying? It's urban apologetics. You know what I'm saying? Showing black dignity with the gospel.
What up, y'all? It's your hometown hero, the real Adam Coleman. Y'all know what it is, man. Y'all know what it is. Matter of fact, those who've been watching me for a while, I might be bringing Scott Lane back for this joint. You know what I'm saying? Get back to my old MC days and whatnot. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But just glad to be back here one more again with the podcast. We got a special guest. My man, Vada is here, real one. Hedgeman, what's happening with you there, brother?
What's happening, man? When you introduced yourself, I thought you was about to say, it's your boy Adam, the real MC. I thought you was about to say that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, see, for people who've been following me a while, that's actually, yes, the original intro. It's Scott Lane, the Black Bruce Wayne, aka the real Adam Coleman. Yeah, that's how I used to start out the old podcast. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I shortened it a little bit. You know what I mean? But we get back into MC mode just in this this podcast, man. So I might to bring that back, man. But how you feeling, man? What you been up to, bro?
Man, I've been doing well, man. You know, I'm just staying busy on the podcast, you know, making sure we filming stuff on Is Here Real and Radio. Make sure y'all go subscribe to that page right now, you know, so that you can see that content, and also keeping up with those big little bro segments, you know, so that we can give people that real talk that may not always feel good, you know, but neither does surgery. Surgery don't feel good, you know, but it's good for you, you know. So just staying busy, man. Staying busy with the studying and staying busy with the teaching and making sure God gets all the glory, bro.
That's good, man. That's dope, man. That's dope. Now I brought you in for a different purpose today.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying, like, you know, we used to Vada the apologist. I'm bringing Vada the MC. That's what I'm bringing in today, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Check it. We talk about some bars, man. We started something a little bit new here at Tru-ID. And actually, I've been thinking about it / talking about it for a while, man. But I feel like when it comes to apologetics, you know, I love digging into the philosophical stuff. I love digging into, you know, the historical stuff that we get into and all that kind of thing. But I think it's good sometimes to show people how to connect the dots between this real heady type stuff that we talk about and culture. Yeah, what's going on around you and all that kind of stuff. Like, we're not just out on the island somewhere, you know, talking about philosophy for philosophy's sake, you know what I mean? But these things, many of the ideas that we intersect with all the time on the show, they find their place in culture. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's helpful to kind of, you know, look at different things like that. And so that's why we got this new series, man. We're doing something new out here. I'm probably gonna define like a title for it, but essentially we're doing some react videos, you know, to some music that's out there, whether it be present, or maybe we'll bring some past stuff in there, like some oldie but goodie, so to speak. But yeah, I'm a hip hop head, you know, by nature, man. I'm an 80s baby. You know what I mean? That's so right. I grew up in the hip hop era, and for me, I don't know about nobody else, but I'm from the East Coast, right? So East Coast is all about lyrics. If you don't have bars, then all the sound effects, all the, you know, all the different ways you can accent your words, all that, I mean, that's cool. But if you don't have bars, we wasn't rocking with you. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So you know, with this being our first one, I know we plan on doing more, but this one being our first one, before we get to the content, won't you tell us some of your favorite rappers and whatnot? You talking about you love the bars from the East Coast, you know, you love the bars. Won't you tell us who some of your favorite people is that kick those bars?
Man. Well, see, like growing up, I was a conscious rap type of a guy. I'm saying I like rappers who had, at least I thought, you know, saying substance at the time. You know what I mean? Right. I like guys who was talking about real life and politics and things like that. And so if I'm going down just like my favorite list, like my personal favorite, my personal all-time favorite rapper was Common. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, of course, he was Common since back in the day, but he's Common now. That's my personal all-time favorite rapper. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, he was a perfect combination of just talking about life, talking about, you know, you could talk about what's going on in the streets, kind of analyzing that, but even throwing some politics and just various different things. And for me, he really piqued my intellectual interest early on. You know what I'm saying? And like fused it with the music. So I love that. You know what I mean? But then also, he's a lyrics guy. You know what I'm saying? Like you can listen to Common today and hear him say, and then catch a punchline and be like, oh, he meant da 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 da. And like you listen to the song 20 times. You know what I'm saying? And just now caught what he was saying. Like I love stuff like that. So Common was always my favorite. Definitely Talib Kweli was up there. Most Def. just like kind of that whole Raucous Records roster, really. You know what I'm saying? But those three guys were as far as my personal favorites, you know, that's kind of how I get down. You know what I mean? But you know, now you coming from a whole different vantage point. You coming from that West Coast, man. So you know, how, like, what's your list? You know, give me your list. Like, who would be on?
Well, most of my favorite rappers is actually from the East Coast. You know, even the ones who ain't from New York. Most of my favorite rappers, you know, they from the East Coast. You know, but firstly, it's funny you mentioned Common. You know, his intellectualism. I remember he was the first person he was the reason I ever heard that someone named Barack Obama existed, because before Obama like even ran for president, he had a line about him. I forget which song.
Words ignite the people, like Obama. Yeah.
It was something, but it was before he even ran. I was like, who is he talking about? And I was like, oh, okay, it's this black senator or whatever, you know, from Chicago or something like that. And then sometime later, he ran for president, you know, and ultimately won, made history and whatnot. But I'll never forget that. Like, yo, the first time, because he was talking about Obama before people was talking about Obama. I was like, yo, this dude really pay attention to politics.
Yeah, like, it's true, man. It's true. But you know but I mean, that's why see, for me, that's one of the things that I do love about hip hop, the genre. Now, I don't endorse, you know, the negative messages, you know, in so much as you know, that's obviously present there. But as far as the genre, that's what I love about the hip hop genre, because you know, if you do your history, obviously MCing really began as a means of accompanying the beat. You'd have the DJ doing this thing. And then, you know, back in the day, you'd have, you know, I'm thinking about somebody like a Busy Bee or something like that. You know, MC would accompany the music and move the crowd. But then you have guys like, you know, Kool Mo D and, you know, guys like that who ushered in lyricism. And it was like, man, you know what? Actually, the lyricist is more than just going along with the beat, but you actually can be a voice. You know what I'm saying? Now, unfortunately, some people be a voice for positive, some people be a voice for negative, and we'll talk about that. But what I love about the hip hop genre is its ability to give a voice to a people who otherwise would likely not have one, at least to this, you know, extent. And so now our voice is being heard all over the world, for good or for bad. But nevertheless, I mean, you do hear some themes that are communicated. There really have a great deal of depth. I think that the MCs are under-respected in terms of just the art, the poetry. I mean, whether it be storytelling, the whole nine, man. And that's one thing that I love about rap. And so I think that, you know, I definitely hope to bring that out as we go forward. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and to answer your question, because I never did, you know, some of my favorites. Well, Eminem is my favorite #1 all time. I think he's incredible. I think he is the greatest rapper to ever breathe. I just think Eminem is amazing.
Eminem is the GOAT.
Yeah, I think Eminem is the greatest of all time, and I thought that for a while too.
Okay.
You know, but my favorites would be Tupac. It wasn't Royce da 5'9", but he, you know, he had like a 2nd and 3rd win in his career. You know, like people like him and Cricket ain't on like my top 5 or 6 favorites or nothing, but they both do share that, where they had like you thought it was over, you know what I'm saying, but they had like a 2nd or 3rd win, you know, kind of similar to how Lil Wayne, because when Lil Wayne really blew up, that was like a 2nd win.
That was, you know, a 2nd win.
You know, when he was
it's funny because like when Wayne blew up, and like, I guess, I mean, it probably was a little bit before 07, but like somewhere in there, you know what I mean?
Nah, when Wayne blew up, that was like 08-ish, 09, when he had that really long run.
Like a billion mixtapes he was dropping.
Yeah, that was like 08-ish, 07, 08-ish.
Right. But for me, like, it was like, yo, like, when did Wayne start spitting? Like, I remember him as like the wobbity, 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 wobbity. You know, I remember him doing that, you know, like in some of the earlier Hot Boys type stuff. And so then all of a sudden he's like really rapping. So it's like, yo, like when did that happen? You know what I mean? But I feel you though. I feel you.
Lil Wayne was actually really dope in that stretch, bro. But I was not a fan. I had to no, I wasn't a fan because I was still gang affiliated. And his bogus bloodness made me nauseous. I couldn't stand it. So therefore Lil Wayne is garbage. I ain't even though he started getting hot, you know what I'm saying? I was like, everybody tripping. Everybody tripping. I don't care how many mixtapes he put out. I heard the punchlines, but I wasn't feeling it, you know. And sometimes, you know,
he was really spitting though, bro.
Yeah, he was really spitting, and he got songs. He got a song on Eminem's album called No Love,
Yeah.
And I think, you know, they both did their thing on there. And Lil Wayne's verse, he's doing his thing. And I'm listening to his verse. I'm like, oh, he killing it. But then he go, it's Wheezy, MF, Blood Gang, and I'm in bleed mode. I'm like, Wayne, you ruined it. You ruined it. Now, but
like we were doing good.
we were doing so great.
And now we're not.
and now we're not.
And
you
know,
know, but
now we're not. Right.
Yeah. But Lil Wayne, you know, is certainly dope, especially with his second win being such a legendary second win. But as far as like Royce the 5'9", he's one of my faves. So I got Pac, Royce. You know, 50 is one of my favorites. You know, I don't got him as like my top 5 best. He's one of my favorites. I love.
I don't understand it, bro. Hey, you my brother, man. I love you. I don't understand people who love 50 Cent. I really don't.
I don't understand people who don't.
I was with you. See, here's that. I was with you on Royce. You know what I'm saying? Like Royce, to me, first of all, anytime you're regularly on a track with Eminem and not getting blown out,
right?
You
like, doing something.
You doing something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that's saying a lot. And in terms of like his newer stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like just in terms of it's so technical. The way he puts his words together, it's like mind blowing. I mean, it's just crazy what he's doing.
He don't even sound the way he sounded in the early 2000s. Like, sound like a whole nother human being.
Well, I mean, but it's a lot. But it's interesting you said, because you know the human being part. Like a lot of times, I think that what's cool about this era of hip hop, it's kind of like how you didn't really see like sports stars back in the day. You didn't really see as much about them as you do today because you didn't have social media. Same thing with MCs. Like I think you see a lot more about what's going on behind the scenes with them. And for him, you know, it's a sobriety issue. You know what I mean? He's really sobered up. I mean, he was apparently, you know, alcoholic and maybe some other stuff. And he's kind of gotten that aspect of his life together. And so I think that you're seeing that freedom in that regard bleed into his music. You know what I mean? So he's saying some things I think are interesting. Now, back to 50 Cent. I don't understand cats. Like, I'm not saying he's whack. I'm not saying that per se. I never caught the 50 Cent that I never like really rock with him like that. I never understood like why people felt like he was like a great rapper. I don't get it.
So before I go into why I think he's an outstanding artist, I won't necessarily say rapper.
Okay,
you know, outstanding artist. You know, he's like the basketball player who will make it to the Hall of Fame because he does a lot of things really well. You know, really well, and has a legendary career. Maybe he has a couple of seasons that's like stupid, like, whoa, what did you do? And he's really consistent over a longer period of time. But before I get that and expound on that, you said something I wanted to. Oh, so even if you just go with Get Rich or Die Trying, you don't think that was a great album?
You know what it is for me is like, obviously the messages I don't agree with. I mean, that's par for the course.
Yeah, neither one of us do.
Neither one of us do, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Now, but for me, when I think about music, you know, aside from like the moral aspect of it, I look at just, it's like, you know, somebody like, I use basketball. Like somebody might be a horrible person, but either you have a jump shot or you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have a good jump shot, you have a good jump shot regardless of how you are morally. Likewise, when it comes to writing a bar, you know what I'm saying? Like a punchline is a good punchline. It's either it's witty or not. I'm saying like either your wordplay is dope or it isn't. And for me, like with 50, I just like he's never said anything where I was like, dang, like, oh snap. Like he said blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like I can't think of a punchline like right now where I'm like, yo, that punchline was crazy. You know what I'm saying? And that's why like he just
I can, but it's not like holy. I can, but it's not holy.
Okay, all right.
I can though.
Okay,
like he got bars for sure, you know, but it's not holy.
Bars.
Yeah, bars. Yes.
Okay.
You know, but
okay.
You know, but the reasons he's in my favorite list isn't because I say, yo, he got bars like a Lloyd Banks or Fab or any of them. It's his total package as an artist, as a recording artist. I love his confidence. He has a confidence that whoever most of our favorite rappers is don't exude that like him. So I love that. He has that confidence. Maybe it's because he boxed and he's like, look, whoever I say something about, you come over here playing. I know how to handle myself. I don't know if that's what it is or what.
Right.
You know, but that confidence is incredible. And look, confession is good for the soul. Okay. You know, my top 3 favorite rappers, they all had beef with a lot of people. Eminem, Tupac, and 50. They're my top 3 favorite. And the truth of the matter is them having the anybody can get it attitude did appeal to me as a young. So maybe they shouldn't be my top 3 because I'm not gonna go. Yeah, Eminem rapped about his daughter, Tupac rapped about mankind, and 50 rapped about business. Sometimes that's why they my top 3. That is not why they my top 3. I'd be lying. They're my top 3 because anybody could get the smoke, and that appealed to me a lot.
Now I respect it. Now for me, I love battle rap. I'm saying I grew up listening to like battle rappers. So I get that confidence where it just whatever you want to do, that's what it
anybody,
is.
Including rappers, but including
like
lyricists. 50 didn't go, yo, you know what? With my approach, I'm only gonna beef with certain type of rappers. Like I'm gonna beef with Fat Joe, but I'm not gonna beef with Jada. 50 was like, Jada, who is you? And most people who go about beef don't have even the lyricists. They don't go, yeah, anybody can get it, including these lyrical people. 50 was I don't care if it's Jada, I don't care if it's Fab, because he did take shots at Fab, but Fab didn't want none. He took shots at T.I. when T.I. was at his height. And when I say at his height, I'm not just talking about when T.I. was at his height of superstardom. T.I. had a stretch where his lyricism was great. I don't know what he was on or off, but he had a window of like 4 years where his lyricism, I was like, yo.
And as I understand it, like it wasn't like some type of ghostwriter type of thing. My understanding is that he really was writing.
He was really writing that.
It's a lot of ghostwriters in the industry now. But apparently T.I.'s pen was like that. Apparently,
yeah, it was really like that. While T.I. was yet a dope rapper, 50 was like, hey, I won't beef with you. And T.I. was like, no, thank you. I don't want no problems with that. He kept going, no, thank you. No, thank you. And this is a little off subject. I'm going to say this and I'm going to come back. T.I. got mad at me. I got really mad at T.I. when T.I. was trying to challenge 50 Cent to a versus. And he was like, I want the bully. Bring me the bully. I ain't afraid of you, 50. Bring me the bully. And then 50 responds with, I'm not about to do no verses with you. We can beef though. And then T.I.'s like, nah, I want to do the verses. Bring me the bully. Well, the bully is doing the bully-ish stuff that you saying you want, and you still don't want no smoke. So stop it. Sit down somewhere. You doing that. Stop. That's a whole nother conversation. But that's why 50 is one of my favorites because of his confidence, his diversity, and his ability to transition into different things while still being himself. Now, do I think he should be this petty, especially at this age? No, I don't.
Probably not.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that his willingness to get out there. I love it. Go ahead.
So here I feel you. And actually, we probably are gonna have to just make this whole 10-minute segment like the psychology of 50 Cent. We're gonna make it like an exclusive or something. You know what I mean? That'd be dope. Yeah. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, the psychology of 50 Cent. It's gonna have to be a whole segment right there. You know what I mean?
And it's amazing that this all started because I was just about to name some of my favorites. And I named 50, and Adam was like, "Time out." Where the DJ stuff? Like,
you're never gonna want to come back on and have another dialogue with hip hop because I just diss one of your favorite rappers. You know what I'm saying? But no, again, I think he's a great artist. I think he's a great businessman. You know what I'm saying? Like those are things you can't take from him. You know what I'm saying? It's just that he doesn't move me. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to lyrics, that's really all I'm saying. You know what I mean? So. But that's what this is about, bro. I mean, so this whole series, hopefully, people will it'd be interesting. You put your comments in the comment section. What y'all think about this whole dialogue? Is 50 Cent a garbage rapper or not? We're gonna take a poll.
But that's not even.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I think
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't think he's garbage.
But it's people who do though. And that's fine. It's people who. But it is people who think he's garbage, and that's totally fine. Right? That's totally fine. But does 50 have the ability to make his presence felt when he's on a record, when he does something, when he steps into a room, when he Absolutely. So that's the thing. He has whatever that it factor is. Like it's some people who you can not know who somebody is and they walk into a room and it's like, yo, that person is like who is that? And he has that, even if it's just jumping on a record, even if it's just jumping on a chorus, even if it's when it's putting out records, and things of that nature. I know his last records obviously weren't nearly as successful, but But yeah, but that's what I'm saying, man. That's why he's one of my favorites, because of his willingness to engage with anybody, because I do not condone violence. I do not condone beef. And perhaps you can't tell from this conversation. I don't know how this conversation is going to land, but I have a distaste for people who pick and choose, you know. So 50 doesn't pick and choose. So he'll diss Terry Crews if he say something. He'll diss Vivica Fox if he'll say something. And he's wrong for both. I can acknowledge that he's being immature and petty, especially for his age, for both. But I respect the person who doesn't pick and choose. You know, a lot of people wouldn't have beefed with Fat Joe just on some street stuff. I ain't finna beef with Terror Squad. 50 did not care.
Didn't care.
He did not care. What? What's up?
And so here's the thing. If I'm being honest with myself, right? If I'm being honest with myself, so I'm not saying that 50 is a garbage rapper, but if I'm being real, I think that part of the reason I don't rock with him, you know what I'm saying, and I just always had like this angst towards him, is because, you know, growing up in the 80s, 90s, I was always on like that conscious rap tip. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the first rap I ever heard was KRS-One. You know what I'm saying? That was the first rap I heard. Like, you know, we weren't allowed to listen to a whole lot of hip hop when I was like really young. But my cousins had the KRS-One tape, you know what I mean? And I just remember, you know, I can't remember what song it was, but, you know, Isaac, Jacob, y'all better wake up, da-da-da-da-da. And he's just talking about this knowledge stuff. And then I went from there to like Diggable Planets and Tribe Called Quest and, you know, Leaders of the New School. And so, you know, and throughout the 90s, I'm thinking like, man, I'm listening to, again, Common and, you know, Wu-Tang. And so I was always on that tip. And so to me, 50 Cent like represented everything that was wrong with hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm being honest, that's part of the reason why I just didn't really rock with him. It's not to say that he's not a trash rapper. I mean, you know, he can definitely put words together. He's a great artist. Like he's underrated as an artist. And I say that in terms of how he puts songs together, hook writing and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I think that he's excellent at that. But to me, like he always represented everything that was wrong with hip hop. You know, he represented to me the weaponization of music against the Black community. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he was talking about stuff that, you know, selling drugs, killing, and all the above, disrespecting women, like all those moral things.
That's fair. Say that.
Say that.
I wouldn't have no push.
I'm coming clean. I'm coming clean. You know
okay, I got you. Okay, I'll start.
After 25 minutes of just throwing jabs at him, I'm now Adam Coleman is being real. I'm coming clean. I'm confessing my biases here. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
And I think that's what bothered me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just kind of having flashbacks. But you know, at the time when he was like really blowing up, you know, I think about the guys that I was listening to. Whether it be a Outcast or you know whatever, and I just didn't hear him coming. I mean, to me, he was like intentionally negative. Like he knew what the market wanted, and he was willing to allow himself to be pimped by the industry to poison our people. That's how I really felt about it. You know what I mean? Now I recognize that's strong language. I understand, but that's how I feel. You know what I mean? And I think that to me, that is. I mean, as much as I love the genre, as much as I love the art form, you know what I'm saying? I love lyrics. I love, you know, the boom bap. I love all of that. Even honestly, I'm not a mumble rapper guy, but if it's done well, I can respect it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm cool with that. But nevertheless, I sit back and think about like, dang, like if you look at our community, excuse me, like we really scrambling out here. Like this is like it's really not cool to go kill up somebody's family because you got beef with them and stuff like that. Like that's really not dope at all. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
And so I think in part, what I'm saying is maybe it's not so much 50 as what 50 represents that I take issue with. You know what I'm saying? And
that's very fair. That's a very fair criticism. You know, right. That's a very fair criticism. You know, and I have absolutely no pushback on that. I wouldn't say. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. I would say he allowed himself to get pimped by the industry because I think that implies that he was told the industry couldn't and still can't control him. He does what he wants when he wants. So other than that, and I know that for a fact, especially being at Interscope, it wasn't nobody at Interscope who controlled him. Nobody. I can confirm that beyond a shadow of a doubt. They was, man, I'm telling you. In fact, he said F the boss at one point, the dude who run it. He did that on a record, you know, and that's actually people talk about, yo, 50 fell off. I can explain to you why he fell off. 50 fell off because he challenged the giant. Interscope Records is the biggest record label, the biggest urban record label. Okay. It's a division of Universal Music Group where Def Jam's a part of and a whole bunch of other labels. But Interscope Records, Interscope Records is the biggest. And 50 at the top of his games, like his first three albums, Get Rich or Die Trying, The Massacre, and Curtis, he was on top of the rap game, on top of the world. During his not even just on top of the rap game, on top of music. All right.
Sure.
And during his press tour for his third record, this is in 2007, he said F the boss, the guy who runs the whole thing, Jimmy Iovine. All right. And ever since then, the label strategically failed to market him, failed to invest money into radio promotion and things that make an artist successful. I believe he was, and I'm not the only person who think this. Talk to somebody who actually works for record labels. Many of them have this same position. He was intentionally, it was like, okay, we're going to show you because you're that much of a rebel where you don't fall in line at all. We're going to show you. And that is why he fell off. Not because his music fell off, not because of not because fans just got uninterested, but because when you beefing with a machine, the machine is like, I'm gonna show you who's who. But then 50 said, okay, I'm just gonna go do music. And now he's doing this not music, I'm sorry, television, so he's doing that over there now. But that's ultimately why he stopped selling records.
All right, now this gets us into something, man. And now this is, for me, this is bigger than 50 because it's like you said, and I believe everything you just said. I'm sure that's the case. So
and some of this is public too. Some of this is public.
Fair enough. So I'm thinking two examples. Now, first of all, what you just said, 50 Cent's on top of the game, and he's like, Jimmy Iovine, the boss, and there were real career consequences for him, right?
Absolutely.
I'm thinking about a recent situation where you have this guy, the baby. You know what I mean? I don't even feel right calling a grown man the baby. That's just, but that's the old head in me. But let's just go with that. You know what I mean? The baby, he recently, made some comments apparently at a concert about the LGBT community and that they took to be pretty unfavorable. It's some pretty crass comments. But nevertheless, I mean, I think at this point he might have even lost his record deal. I mean, I know he lost several shows. I mean, he was removed from several tours and lost a whole slew of money. And I could be wrong, but I think he might have even lost his record deal at this point, possibly. But nevertheless, there were some real serious consequences. So when it comes to offending the LGBT community, consequences. When it comes to offending Jimmy Iovine, consequences. Like we see what can happen if you offend the wrong people. Now, here's the thing. Let's go back to what I said. Nobody's shutting these dudes down when they're talking about selling drugs and killing in the community.
Right. That's a good point.
That doesn't get you shut down. There's no consequences. No consequences for having women in your videos, like not dressed at all. You know what I'm saying? Like just shaking their behinds. All that. No consequences. You can literally say, you can use the N-word all you want. You can talk about killings. You can have an album called The Massacre. You know what I'm saying? Like you can talk about all that. Use all that imagery. No consequences.
Yeah, I mean,
but if you offend the LGBT community, all of a sudden we got a problem. Now, I'm not saying he should have said. I'm not saying that should have been the case. But my whole point is this gets back to what I was saying about how the genre has been weaponized against our community. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they want to, if the industry wants to, it can shut down artists who say things that they don't like, right? What if they took that mentality about people who are just talking about negativity in general? You know what I'm saying? What if they took that position? I mean, what if they took the position that, hey, you know what? If you've got messages in your music that is going to be the theme music to criminality in a particular population, if that's what you're putting out, we're not going to put our resources behind you. We're going to fail to promote you in the same way that Interscope failed to promote 50. That's what we're going to do. But obviously, we don't see that.
Yeah, that would be a whole lot of morality. That would be a whole lot of morality for
It
people to do
would.
that.
Now, exactly. It would. And of course, honestly, to be fair, that's more than we should expect from people who, aren't committed to those kind of moral standards. I'm saying, like, that's more, maybe from a Christian, we can expect something like that. You know what I mean? But obviously, these people are not working with the same moral code that we are. But that's why I think discussions like the ones that we're going to have are so important, because we can get into these kind of things and deciphering. And I'm not necessarily going to be like the old heads, just like, oh man, y'all young kids today, blah, 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 blah. But I think that we need to have a real conversation beyond the bars. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be, that might be the title of the segment, beyond the bars. Like,
yeah,
we can talk about the skill, the punchlines, and those kind of things, but then ideas have consequences. And we need to talk about that too. You know what I'm saying? What are you doing with that skill? And how do these things really cash out? You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
no, that's fair, man. That's absolutely fair. And it's actually something that I struggle with as a person as a person who's who's a big fan of some of these people, right? Like, it's a lot of the new music I don't listen to. So if there's somebody who has a similar personality, I'm not a big fan of him or her, because I don't listen to a lot of the newer stuff like that. I just don't, but if it's somebody who I'm already familiar with, they'll hit my radar, because I already know who they are. I already know who 50 is, Royce the 5'9" is. I already know who Nas is. I already know who Eminem is. So it's easier for them to hit my radar. So if there's somebody who came out and they're super dope and they're not like Christian and they don't have a lot of Christian content and they're dope, I probably haven't heard of them. The people who hit my radar are the people who I knew already.
Like, kind of established.
Since I've been a sold out, believer in Christ,
Right.
But I completely agree, man. I completely agree. I think this was a really dope conversation, though. Especially
absolutely.
the shift from favorites and why, and how it ultimately leads to where we just landed. Because I think that's I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, man. And I mean, the way I look at it, I think, doing these react videos to, different songs and stuff like that, we're able to tap into just some of the ideas that are out there, because I do think that music, at least to some extent, reflects the culture, obviously. You know what I'm saying? And so when we talk about what people are saying on the track, you know what I mean? We can sometimes tie that to what people are just kind of grappling with on their everyday life. And I think that's just be pretty dope to talk about. Because right now, I think what we're seeing, particularly in the African-American context, is a lot of people are leaving organized religion, I'm saying, and not having anything to do with organized religion, but still engaging in some sort of spirituality or whatever. And they're trying to navigate big questions like, who am I? How should I live? You know what I mean? Like, what kind of morals am I going to stand by? And, how do I interact with others? And, just how do I navigate what's going on in politics and, things like that. They're trying to find a framework to wrestle with some really big questions. And they're not looking to organized religion to the same extent that they used to. And so I think that what we can do is use music to bridge the gap between, our worldview and where we're coming from, and engage in those big questions in ways that I think can be meaningful for people. And that's ultimately what I want to accomplish, in breaking down these bars, man. So,
and I'll wrap it up by even saying this, because you're absolutely right in what you're saying, that, we hear that in a lot of different, even the recording artists, who do hip hop, and they don't consistently and explicitly talk about, things that are like God-ish and whatnot. You still hear them saying, like, I think about this stuff sometimes. And music, music is an expression, especially hip hop. It's like poetry. It is an expression. It is an expression. So that's why when you go to the to the first few hip hop records, and then when you start, or even like you hear in Public Enemy, and people like Fight the Power, or even when stuff was about gangsterism, is unproductive as that ultimately is to a culture. The reason why there was and I'll even say that it is some beauty somewhere in it. Here's why I say it's beauty in it, is because it is usually someone, let me not even say usually, it started off as someone who saw a bunch of stuff around them. So what I see around me is this unproductive gangsterism stuff. Yeah. So when I'm doing this rhyming poetry that we call rap or hip hop, that's what I'm talking about. So yes, it's unproductive. I don't disagree with you there, but that is, you know, the speck of beauty that I see in it, because it's someone going, here's what I see around me all the time, and I'm just expressing what I see. And I think that with what you and I are doing with breaking down these records, you know, I think that it does give us an opportunity to ultimately, you know, dissect what they're saying and prayerfully ultimately point folks to Jesus. No matter what we do, you know, that is ultimately, you know, what we want to do. So I'm looking forward to getting into some bars.
Absolutely, man. I mean, and before I go there, I mean, I think that what you said was perfect, because on the one hand, while it is true that, well, I'll just say, well, this is my perspective, that you do have the industry weaponizing certain strands of hip hop against the community. At the same time, to your point, there is a set of factors and let's say environmental factors that would produce that gangster rapper that I might be talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like there's socioeconomic factors that created the neighborhood that they live in and the experiences that they convey in their music. You see what I'm saying? So you have this circle of influences, if you will. And I think it's helpful to kind of break those things down, because it's really easy to single out the rapper or single out the person who might be living out what the rapper is talking about. But then I think sometimes the tougher conversation is, okay, well, now let's take a step back and talk about the conditions and the society that produced this person. And is there some connection between me as a Christian in this society and how I'm impacting it? Right.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
That's deep.
Such that, you know what, I'm actually implicated too. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm part of the society that produced this person. So now what am I going to do about it?
That's deep.
So yeah, like just on this vein, man, like the other day I was watching Math Hoffa. I'm saying he's got a podcast. He's a battle rapper, been around for a minute. And he's got this podcast where, you know, on YouTube, they'll be in a barbershop talking battle rap, you know what I mean? And an interesting conversation came up where there's a couple of different people that were saying the same thing, but there was a young lady who was talking about things that they might say in a battle rap and like kind of what's going too far, right? And she was just saying how, like, I think she had some line, or maybe somebody had a line about, you know, shooting somebody else's son or something like that. And then shortly thereafter, after that battle, on the nightly news, there was a situation where a young child really was shot, you know, in an altercation. And she was just talking about how, like, that it just made her think, like, man, like the stuff that we say, when you really map that onto real life, like, yo, that's not really cool. And so as a battle rapper, how do I navigate that? You know what I mean? So, you know, to something you were saying earlier, like, these are real people. Like, these artists aren't just characters in a story or something like that. They're real people who are putting their thoughts, ideas, or feelings on record, and they're wrestling with morality and different kinds of things, just like that, just like anybody else is. And I just think that it'd be pretty dope to explore stuff like that, man, as we kind of, you know, work our way through these records. So, you know, this conversation went a whole bunch of different directions, you know what I mean? But where we're headed is, you know, we're going to be breaking down different songs or verses. Maybe we'll get into some battle rap where we break down some people's rounds. And on some cases, we might be doing some stuff where we just, you know, they may say something that's false about Christianity, and we'll just be kind of, you know, bringing some correction to that from a, you know, factual standpoint. And other times it might just be, you know, reflecting on different ideas that are present in the culture and being expressed through the music. And the music just gives us occasion to have some real conversations about things that really matter, man. So, you know, I'm definitely looking forward to it, dog. Appreciate, you know, you coming through, man.
I appreciate you as well. I had a great time talking this. You know, you and I have had several unrecorded conversations just talking, you know, music, right? You know, talking music, talking about our music, talking about other people's music, you know, so I'm excited to, you know, to do so in a formal setting and discuss its impact and what we can do as followers of Jesus Christ. And, you know, what these connections ultimately are, because, you know, we're in the world, you know, we're not of the world, you know, but we see what's going on. We, you know, like, we can't act like we don't see what's going on across the street. You know, we don't know what's on TV. We know what's on TV. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, absolutely. So I'm really excited about this journey.
Wait a minute. Wait, time out. Like, So you don't just sit around and read apologetics all day? Like you don't just you actually do other stuff?
Yeah, I actually do other stuff, man. And just for the, I know you said this a little bit already, but for the listening audience, we came in here to do one thing and we ultimately didn't do it. So that may be the next episode. You know what I'm saying? Because the conversation ultimately went this way. So that's how I know this is gonna be dope, bro. You know, in Jesus' name, man. So yeah,
there you go, man. We're supposed to be breaking down the Nas record, man, but we'll have to do that next time. We'll definitely get it. So, y'all stay tuned. You know what I'm saying? Come up with that next time. You know what I mean? All right, love y'all, man. Love God, love people. Take care of things that God blesses you with, and peace.